Hello, hello. Can we start with a nice applause for Firat's team and the organizing team of Pint of Science? Thank you for inviting me to be here and inviting the other speakers and organizing this fantastic event.
Okay, almost there. Sorry.
Thank you very much. So let's see if the slides stayed up. If they don't, that's okay. All right. So have you ever asked yourself why sometimes the same things feel completely different to you on different days? Picture how sometimes everything on your day just flows perfectly fine. You're productive, energetic, you're calm, engaged, you're connecting easily with the people around you. And then other days, you have no patience. You feel exhausted. You snap at people and you can't get anything done. So why is this? You're still doing the same job. You're doing the same tasks and you're surrounded by the same people. But sometimes things just feel completely different even though you're doing the same things. So this is what we want to look at today. There was a time in my life when I thought I had everything under control. I enjoyed my work, I loved what I did, I was very organized, and I thought that's just all I need. And then one day, my body puts the emergency brakes on, beep, and my body comes to a full stop. I was no longer in control. I thought, what's going on? Let's go to the doctor, let's fix it. And the doctors say there's nothing wrong with you. So what was happening here? I was still the same person, but I didn't have any control. So in order to find out how I can fix this problem, I took a really deep dive into the connection between the mind and the body, and I did years of clinical research in trying to find out why my body wasn't functioning the way I wanted it to. And this is what happens. Sometimes life gets very stressful, and it's not to your own fault, but your body is trying to protect you, and it's putting you into this forced shutdown mode. Everything just stops. And at that point, you might not even be able to do the simplest things, like sending an email, doing your workout routine, or doing the things you normally do. However, we can learn to observe our bodies and understand how our minds and our bodies work together, and then maybe we can prevent this forced shutdown altogether. Our brain developed to be a threat detection system. That is a great feature in ancient times when we were experiencing things like a thunderstorm or a predator. These things were short-lived and occasional. They didn't happen all the time. We had lots of time to recover, and that's when this was useful. In our modern life, it's not that useful anymore because we have so much going on that we can't really always handle it. And this can be things like notifications, traffic. We would know that from tonight, right? It's stressful. You're trying to get somewhere. There's pressure. The news. And what happens is that these triggers don't need to be the big things like a family tragedy or the loss of a job. It can be these little things, and they start to pile up, and there's a threshold somewhere. And when we reach the threshold, our body decides for us to put us in this forced shutdown mode without asking us. Research shows that we experience on average 5 to 7 of these stressors every day. Let's say you're having a bad day, you have 20 stressors, maybe on top of something really big already going on. You reach that threshold much faster. So what we need is a reset. We need to take down that stack. When these stressors happen, we can call them stressors or triggers or whatever we want, they drain our battery. Each of them 5 to 10%. And then by the end of the day, you have 15% of your internal battery left. You're completely depleted. And your body knew this the whole time, but your mind didn't realize it. I'm fine. I can handle the notifications. I can handle the traffic. So here's where your mind and your body are in disagreement. And we don't want to deplete this battery. When you go to bed, your sleep is not going to recharge this. So I want everybody to ask yourself, were there any stressors today that I maybe didn't identify as a stressor? And then I would also like to ask yourself, do you recognize, and how would you recognize, that your body is stressed by something? So the problem is that most of the things that we see happen in our bodies are the big things. You're snapping at somebody. You are panicking because you have a deadline. And these are the things that are the tip of the iceberg. And these things are the ones that scream the loudest in your body because they're so big for us. But what is happening under the surface, there's a lot more signals coming from your body that we just don't recognize. The good news is, if we can learn to detect the signals from our bodies early, we can prevent them from rising up to the top and coming to the surface. Our body has 3 distinct states. The green zone is when you're regulated. You feel calm, you're comfortable, focused, you connect easily with the people around you, you feel productive and creative. Then there's fight or flight. Now you're tense. Sometimes you get controlling. You have to get everything done. And this is where you start snapping at people. This is where you're starting to panic. And this is where you start to get uncomfortable. Maybe your heart is pounding. So if your stress increases further, you can tip into this red zone here. That's the shutdown mode. And that's what we're talking about. People get scared when they get into the shutdown mode because they feel like something is wrong with them. And in this mode, you might not feel much at all. You feel disconnected. You feel numb. You're foggy. And you can't get anything done. Sometimes just the simplest things feel like too much. So we start in the green zone, ideally. We move through the yellow zone, and then we can end up in the red zone. And what we want to work on today is get back to the green zone from either the red or the yellow zone, and prevent getting into the yellow or red zone in the first place. So hands up, everybody, who has experienced any of these yellow or red signs in the last week? Great. Is there anyone who hasn't experienced any of these things in the last week? Great, nobody. So how do we get into the green zone? I will give you a roadmap of 4 simple steps that you can start to take to prevent from getting into the yellow or the red zone, or to get back into the green zone. Number 1, understand where you're at. We want to learn whether we are currently in the green, the yellow, or the red zone. Number 2, identify triggers. And this is hard because we're so used to experiencing these things and normalizing them that we sometimes are not aware of them happening or of the stressors stressing us. Number 3, we want to reduce as many stressors as we can. Think of the stack and the threshold. We don't want to reach the threshold, we want to take the stack down. And then number 4, we will try some regulation techniques that can help us getting back into the green zone. And these 4 steps work as layers. The first step, understanding where you're at, is awareness, being aware of the things that are happening in your body. Number 2, we do a little bit of detective work to analyze. We watch ourselves and how we feel, and then we identify what the things are that bother us the most. Number 3 is prevention. We don't want to get back into the red zone, so let's stay away from the threshold. And then number 4 is a short emergency toolkit that you can use in any situation if you feel stressed. So let's take a look at each of these steps individually. We want to understand where we're at. Am I regulated? Am I in fight or flight? Or am I in shutdown mode? And we use what's called interoception. We want to sense the things that are happening in our bodies. That's the big body of the iceberg that is underneath the surface. So these are things like subtle shifts in your heartbeat, in your breathing, a little bit of muscle tension, maybe some digestive issues. This can be a lot of things. You can also watch your emotions, your thoughts, and your behaviors and see if they fit into one of these categories. And then step 2, we want to identify the triggers that drain our batteries. And this doesn't have to be the big things, as I already mentioned. These are the little things, but we experience so many of them. So these can be message notifications, back-to-back meetings. It can be tight deadlines, long to-do lists. Maybe you're drinking 5 cups of coffee a day and it's not so great for you. You might have an argument with a friend or a partner that stresses you. And you might just be super busy all the time, and there's social pressures, people expect things of you. All these things can drain your battery quite a bit. Step number 3 is we want to reduce as many of these stressors as possible. And the difficult thing is that life happens. We have to do certain things. So how can we find some improvements here? Sometimes it's the little things. It doesn't have to be a big change. But can you silence your notifications for part of the day? It doesn't have to be forever. Can you break down your to-do list into smaller pieces so they get easier to solve? Can you drink 2 cups of coffee instead of 5? Maybe you start some decaf. I see Firat looking around. Is that you? It's you. Can you schedule some time for yourself in your busy day to just take a breath and recharge before you go into the next meeting? And also, and that's very important, can you work on your communication and your boundaries to make sure you advocate for yourself and your needs? We will practice a couple of regulation techniques together. This is a safe space, so I want you all to feel comfortable. Don't worry about your performance or what it looks or sounds like. And these will help your nervous system calm down really quickly. These exercises can take just a couple of minutes out of your day, so you can technically do them anytime. We start with the first one, which is called the physiological sigh. It's a little bit like sobbing. If you have a little child, you might know that's what we're looking to do. And the way we do this is we take an inhale through our nose, and then when we get to the top, we sip in just a little bit more, and on the exhale, we open our mouth and we do a very long sigh. And this should be audible. Don't be shy. You can do this in public and nobody is going to notice. So we're going to go through this together 3 times. Take an inhale through your nose, fill up your lungs. Stop here, sip in a little bit more. Exhale a sigh. 2 more times. Inhale. Stop here, sip in a little bit more. Exhale, sigh it out. 1 more time. Inhale through your nose. Sip in just a little more. And exhale. And then take a quick inventory and see how this made you feel. Maybe your shoulders just dropped. Maybe you feel a little bit more space in your chest. Maybe now you're no longer breathing in your chest, but you're breathing in your belly. So just observe here. The next is the butterfly hug. I didn't realize I was going to hold 2 devices. So it's okay. Thank you. It's okay. I'm gonna do it. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to cross our arms with both hands on our shoulders, and we're going to combine this with some head turns. So tap your shoulder alternating sides like a slow heartbeat. This tells your body that you're safe. And then just keep going and slowly but gently turn your head all the way to the right. And then slowly and gently turn it all the way to the left. Don't watch me, I have to move my hands. One more time each side. Slowly and gently turn all the way to the right. And slowly and gently all the way to the left. And then come back to center and lower your hands. And then one more time, just watch if you notice anything changing in your body. I see some yawns. It's a very good sign. The third one is a humming exercise. So in theory, it's the same as singing or humming under the shower. The ideal time to do this is 2 minutes, but we can do this a little bit quicker. The vagus nerve is the nerve that calms our nervous system. It runs right past our vocal cords. So when we hum, it stimulates that nerve and it induces a calming effect. So we want to take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, we want to hum as long as possible. And we're going to do this 3 times, okay? Take an inhale through your nose. Take a quick breath. And then one more time, inhale. And really quick breath, one more time, and inhale. All right, thank you everybody for participating. When you do this, just feel in your chest and your throat the vibrations, and then watch again if something changed in your bodies. And so now the question is, how do we know that we effectively release stress in our bodies? Sighs is a good sign. Yawns, sneezes, maybe your muscles go pop, pop. Maybe your eyes start watering. Maybe your heartbeat slows or feels more gentle. Your posture might release. Sometimes you might start to cry even though you're not sad. Maybe you hear your stomach gurgle, that is a good sign. Or maybe your mind gets really quiet. So let's look at a hypothetical example of what this can look like as a result when you do these 4 steps. Let's say you're in the fight-flight mode, the yellow zone. In the morning, you get an email from your boss, you immediately start to get tense. Then you spill some coffee, you get frustrated, you get a deadline reminder, now you get anxious. At noon, there's a colleague in a meeting that makes a weird remark, and now you snap at them. And then in the afternoon, you feel completely exhausted, you haven't accomplished anything, and by the time you go home to your family in the evening, you start snapping at them too. If you manage the 4 steps well, you might end up being regulated. So now you still get this email from your boss, but you just respond calmly. You might spill the coffee, but you clean it up and you move on. The deadline reminder doesn't bother you, you just stay focused, and then when you get the comment from your colleague, you can ignore it or even laugh about it. If this is how it goes, you're still productive in the afternoon, and you have a pleasant evening with your family at home, and there's no need to snap at them. So this is what it can look like when the same situation causes you to act completely differently based on the nervous system state you're in. So to bring this all together, we want to identify our nervous system state. We want to learn where we're at any time. We want to identify and reduce triggers to reduce the load and get further away from the threshold. We want to practice regularly, not just when we're in a crisis. So this is important. Practice makes the difference. Your brain needs to make the connections, and for that you need repetition. So if you do these things 2 to 3 times a day, and that can be super quick, you're going to get much better at getting into the green zone. And if you manage to do that, your battery will stay charged much longer, and you spend more time here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
Oh.